what's going on, guys? It's your boy Jason Pokemon. Today we're back with another YouTube video. I'm just kidding. We're not starting this video off like that. So on Friday, I posted a video diving into Folklore by Taylor Swift. It started off pretty confusing, but I ended up really liking it. You should definitely go check that video out if you haven't seen it yet. And for those that don't know, which I'm assuming you're a Swiftie if you clicked on this video, so you probably know. 5 months after Folklore came out, Taylor released a follow-up. The two are honestly pretty distinct, like by no means do you need to listen to one to understand the other, but both feature Taylor trying her hand at a more narrative-driven songwriting style. And not to spoil the Folklore video, but she's pretty good at it. So for today's video, we're diving into Taylor Swift Folk Album number 2. In case you didn't know, I'm doing a series of videos on this channel where I'm talking about just a bunch of Taylor Swift's albums. And every penny that I make off not just the series, but all the videos on my channel will be put towards purchasing tickets to see her in concert when she comes to my area. See, I'm a broke college student, so this YouTube thing is literally my only source of income. So if you wanted to like this video, subscribe if you're new, you know, it would help out a lot and I'd very much appreciate it. But of course, don't feel pressured. Like, I totally understand if you're not rocking with my stuff. If you want to dislike the video, you could do that too. Like, that's fine, I guess. Anyways, with that out of the way, let's dive in, losers. Look at this. Find one without bird poop on it. This is the cleanest one I could find. So here we are. I figured I would listen to Evermore outside just because it's really misty and muggy and kind of gross out, which is like the vibe of these albums, you know what I mean? Before we start, let's put a counter on the screen of how many times I say Folklore in this video. Evermore is interesting. I don't know why when I first listened to this album, I thought it was like very tightly connected to Folklore, like it was sort of a chapter 1, chapter 2 type situation, but that's really not the case at all. The album covers for both of them honestly show the vibes pretty well. While Folklore feels like you're isolated in a forest, leaning up against one of those really large trees, you know, maybe it's cloudy out, but no rain. Evermore feels like you're sitting on your porch looking out at an empty field of grass. And it's sunny out, but quiet. There's definitely a sense of solitude. So yeah, two completely different vibes other than both of them feeling like you're alone. Both of them are pretty fucking sad. But they also touch on different stuff narratively. Folklore is very much centered around one concept, which is the love triangle. And although not every song is tied directly to that story, they all at least match the energy and kinda sorta fit into it. But Evermore is just all over the place, man. I mean, there's a song about killing your husband for cheating. There's a song about rejecting a proposal. There's a song about Taylor's grandma.
What is majority?
And each of the songs are all pretty self-contained. So the only similarity that the two albums have is that they're both an homage to folk music. Well, that and their titles rhyme, I guess. But that's enough talking about Folklore, right? I mean, that album already got its video. You know, the last thing I want to do is play the comparison game this entire video. So, Evermore. Where to begin? The production on this album is definitely super clean and more diverse than, the other album. And there's this feeling of security that the album has. Like, not just Taylor, but literally everyone that's working on this album has done this shit before, so they now feel more comfortable and confident trying new things with it. And it actually results in an interesting mix of modern music and that old rustic folk sound that I've really never heard before. Like, it definitely does a lot more than the other album. Guys, I'm sorry, alright? I can't do this. Like, it's so hard not to compare this album to Folklore. I know I said that they're different on paper, but shit, they were released like 5 months apart. And how many other modern folk albums by pop megastars can you think of? So fuck it, man. I'ma keep saying Folklore as much as I want. Folklore, Folklore, Folklore. Evermore taking all of the risks that it does regarding both concepts of songs and production does definitely pay off when looking at the songs individually, but as a whole, I think it leads to the album missing a singular theme, like a big takeaway that the listener could leave with, and it ends up making it feel a little bit messy, if I'm being honest. I mean that in reference to the album as a whole, because obviously if you look at each of the songs as individual things, there's plenty to take away. Like, there's so much you could take away from those. But if you ask me what is the theme of Evermore, it's like kind of hard to answer, you know what I mean? And don't get me wrong, I think it's totally fine when an album has a bunch of different sounds within it. Like, one of my favorite albums at the moment is Desire I Want to Turn Into You, and that album is fucking all over the place. But something about the jump from an album as cohesive as Folklore to Evermore, which is basically just Taylor trying shit, kinda caught me off guard. But I will say, I do think lyrically, these songs are a little bit more impressive than Folklore. Like, bar for bar, it just feels like Taylor's gotten better at writing in this weird third-person/first-person perspective perspective. But I mean, it's not like she was bad at it in Folklore. She probably upped her game by like 10-15%. And Taylor's vocals on this album sound alright, you know? They don't stack vocals nearly as much, so I wasn't exactly swept off of my feet in the way that Folklore got me, but she definitely sounds good. Oh, and in case, I don't know, you were interested in maybe sort of kind of my thoughts on the songs individually, it's okay, I guess. But let's not pretend she didn't rip this idea off from Spider-Man 3.
It's over.
No. Look, you see?
Banger! But I can't really explain why. I guess I just like the simple, sort of euphoric hook, and I like the Folklore name drop. Really good, and pretty sad, but not cry-worthy. Very well executed, in my opinion, and it's a pretty good song, but I just don't see myself revisiting it that often. I don't like the flow of this one, but it has some really great lyrics. It's alright, meh, really good, like, just missed my top 5, to be honest. It's fine, I guess. It does capture that somber vibe pretty well. I really like it, but the drums are super flat, which I'm sure is intentional, but I just don't agree with it. Meh. I like how the title's incorporated, and it's just a solid song. The guitars and the hook is nice, and it's cool, I guess. All in all, I think some of these songs really fucking hit, and some of them were well executed, but just didn't really resonate with me. A part of me wishes there was a Long Pond studio sessions for Evermore, just because I'd be really interested in hearing her perspectives on writing each of these songs. And it would also probably lead to me liking each of them a little bit more, because that was definitely a big contributing factor with Folklore. And could you imagine Marjorie live, bro? Oh man. But I guess hoping for that to come is kind of grasping at straws, right? Welcome back to Swifty's Writer's Workshop, where we look at some of the lyrics to Taylor Swift's most sad songs and try not to let the snot seep into our mouths from crying so much. I'll be honest, guys, I actually wasn't gonna do one of these for this video because I couldn't think of a song. How am I supposed to pick? I could literally do it for each of them and have just as much to talk about. But after thinking about it for a while, I decided that we're gonna look at 2 songs right now. 'Tis the Damn Season and Dorothea, which are not necessarily my favorite songs. I mean, they're definitely really good, but apparently they're connected? I don't know. 'Tis the gosh darn diggity damn season, am I right? If I wanted to know who you were hanging with while I was gone, I would have asked you. That's a little mean. I'm trying to figure out this, it's the kind of cold fogs up windshield glass thing. The kind of cold that it's so cold that you could see. Is that what that is? I mean, I guess. I really don't get it. I just don't. I don't want to press the genius help button because, you know, sometimes like when the lyrics are gray, there's like notes that you could see. I don't need genius's help right now, but I'm so confused. So maybe this girl is coming back home for the holidays, right? And maybe there's like a past there. I think I'm putting it together in my mind right now. Because she's home for the holidays, she's home with good intentions. She wants to overlook that bad past and just say, it's fine, you know, 'tis the damn season, we're good. But saying the holidays linger like bad perfume, after the holidays are over, she's still thinking about that, you know, like whatever exchanges they might have had or just seeing that other person again. Sleep in half the day just for old time's sake. I won't ask you to wait if you don't ask me to stay. So I'll go back to LA and the so-called friends who'll write books about me if I ever make it and wonder about the only soul who can tell which smiles I'm faking. Damn. And the heart I know I'm breaking is my own to leave the warmest bed I've ever known. That is like bar after bar, bro. So I'll go back to LA with the so-called friends who write books about me if I ever make it and wonder about the only soul who can tell which smiles I'm faking. That's a bar! That's a good... I gotta listen to this song more. That bridge actually fucking hits, bro. Well, I think we've talked about that song. We get the perspective. It's nice. It's nice. The other one was Dorothea. So we'll say Dorothea and fucking Bob. I don't know. So Bob is singing this song about Dorothea. You know, like maybe like they broke up because she had to leave and chase her dream or whatever, but she comes back. Meanwhile, Bob sees her on TV. You know, this shit is kind of sad. And if you're ever tired of being known for who you know that you'll always know me. I love that line. That's so cute. Yeah, so honestly, Dorothea is such a simpler song than 'Tis the Damn Season. That is kind of funny because if this is from the perspective of a guy, you know, guys typically, I'm not saying all guys, typically, generically speaking, are just like less deep about shit. So it's funny that the guy's perspective would be this lighthearted song of like, hey, come back to me, you know, I miss you. And then 'Tis the Damn Season is all like serious, like my friends in LA, fuck those bitches. And damn Dorothea, they all want to be ya. that's a little corny. But are you still the same soul I met under the bleachers? What a fucking way to end that. Clearly these two people are still thinking about each other, but life, amongst maybe other things, have just split them apart, and it's nice. Now, the reason I chose to talk about these two songs, you know, in Folklore, everything felt very connected. And Evermore, like I said already, there's just so much variety. It's nice that these two songs do exist in a way that doesn't feel too interwoven, but when you look at it, you can see the connection, and it's like, it's just nice. Yeah, I just think like these verses on this album are so good. I saw this comment on my Folklore video that said Folklore was about young love and Evermore is about life, right? Or like her womanhood, or I forget how you described it, but that's, I really get that. You know, songs like Betty or August, like they're nice and they have deeper meanings, but at its core, it's only about whatever relationship, right? Whereas I feel like a lot of the songs on Evermore have more that you could take away. You know, even these two songs, it's like they are no longer together, and it's about, you know, Dorothea going out and living her life. It just feels like more is being said. I really do think that Evermore is a good album, and I like that Taylor's taking the opportunity to touch on topics that probably wouldn't fit in her regular pop stuff. But in my personal opinion, Evermore loses some of its magic just by not being the first of its kind. Like, Folklore was Taylor Swift trying her hand at folk music, and this album is her doing it again. So while I do think that Evermore has some moments where it stands above Folklore, I just wasn't as impressed during my actual listening experience. Because of that, I'll probably give it like an 8. And I don't know which of the two is more popular with Swifties, but that's just how I feel. And look, man, my opinion may be kind of skewed because I was in comparison mode for so much of this video. But I mean, I don't care, man. I still gave it like an 8. Like, that's pretty good. That's more than Lover. Here's my top 5 songs. This was actually extremely easy for me to make. Like, obviously I wasn't sure after the first listen, but by the time I got to like my third or fourth, everything had pretty much fallen into place. I know this video probably felt really short. It's actually the shortest script I've ever written for a video, but I honestly don't have much else to say. Most of the things that Evermore does well comes from what Folklore started. So rather than reiterating all of that in this video, I'll just make it shorter. You know, you can go watch the Folklore one again if you want. I also feel like because the album is very diverse and all over the place, it's harder to talk about it as a singular entity. Like, I'd either have to stay relatively vague or just dive into what each of the songs mean. And I'm not doing that because I have class tomorrow. Like, I have a life, you know, like I have stuff to do. As much as I love making YouTube videos, like I can't stand here all day and just talk about each song on Evermore. But anyways, comment below your favorite song on the album and where it ranks amongst your favorite Taylor Swift albums. And also, I'm actually really curious, which one do you like more, Folklore or Evermore? Be sure to like and subscribe if you're new. Any and all support on this channel is oh so appreciated. And I love you guys, man. Thank you for all the support on this series. It means the world to me. We still have a long ways to go before we have enough for tickets, but that's not a problem. We got plenty of other Taylor Swift albums to talk about. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.